Today, on the Art Elevator, I'm joined by Emily McCulliss, an ocean driven visual explorer whose background spans marine biology, neuroscience, and psychology. With a Bachelor of Science in Biology and field experience ranging from National Geographic affiliated marine research in Australia to medical volunteer work in Ecuador and the Galapagos, Emily's path bridges scientific inquiry and lived experience. Through endurance sport, deep ocean encounters, and immersive observation, her work explores what happens when curiosity, intuition, and the natural world collide.
Welcome, Emily. You've had quite the life journey already. Can you tell us about the moment you got a camera in your hands and started identifying as an artist? So, after COVID times, my family and I actually moved to Maui, Hawaii. And with that was a whole new insight onto how I wanted to live life. And I kind of conjured up, like, how can I do different things? Like, what is interesting to pursue? And one of those things that came up is actually a trip to Mexico, to Magdalena Bay, to go see the striped marlin hunting in it's a bait ball activity. And I was like, that seems very, very interesting. I've never heard of anything like this. And so I kind of want to take up photography with it. Like, I've always been interested in marine biology. I've always been interested in the ocean and the world around me. And so with that trip, I actually bought a camera. It was a Nikon D850. And I got a Naughty Cam after like a year of research on what type of underwater camera house to have. And I took a random trip to Magdalena Bay to go do this expedition. And I had no idea. I knew a power button and I did not know anything else. Everything was in a box. And so when I arrived, I was like, I bought this online. I bought the Naughty Cam camera house to the camera that I know Google said that it, like, translates to, that it is supposed to protect, but I knew nothing beyond that. So, the group of people that I actually met in, Mexico, in Magdalena Bay Island, the they actually helped me put everything together, and they were like, "Well" there was a photographer there, there was a guy who actually worked with a lot of cinema cameras and everything like that, and they were like, "We got you. We're just, just click the button when we're in the water." So didn't do much of anything, but I did carry that camera very proudly off the boat, jumped in the water, had an amazing experience, and said, "I want to go do this again and again and again." Like, how do you keep doing this? So with that trip, we also got to swim with humpback whales. And that was one that I think really settled that this is something that's possible for me. And then from there, I remember calling my husband saying, I just have to go. I don't know what this is, but this is just exhilarating. And I have to go. So from there, I put myself into anything that I found interesting. So the Arctic, underwater, in helicopters, in high altitude with like animals that you would never expect to find, such as snow leopards. I just found every experience that I could possibly do. And that was kind of the start of everything, a random box from Amazon and a trip to Mexico and a whole lot of questions of what ifs and just doing it. When I identified as an artist, I would say that in all honesty, I'm still trying to find that answer. I would bet that it happened a few years ago when all of this kind of got put in that it made sense to me. Like all of the tricks, all of the background that I have, the education that I have, the constant love of learning and improving and evolving, that is what I want my art to be. And so I would say that that's kind of like the clicking mechanism where I started identifying because like I haven't stopped since. So there was a point in time.
I love that. And gosh, it's so inspiring for listeners to hear that you had no background in this. You just were really excited by it and you took the bull by the horns, if that's not animal cruelty. And then You just ran with it and just saturated yourself into something that you felt so passionate about. And sounds like you got the support along the way, the divers on your first experience. And then I'm sure there were many others after that who you learned from and you taught. And so, through all these experiences so far, what is it that you hope to share through your photography?
It's a very personal question. So I really hope to inspire people, and I don't have a meaning for that. I want to say that it's very subjective to how one wants to receive that. But I hope to inspire humankind. And my overall mission statement is I hope to inspire your today to change your tomorrow. And that comes from the belief that like one thought can change a habit, can change a behavior, can change something minuscule, can have grand effects. And so the photography that I do, that I ruminate so deeply with, captures the world that a lot of people have not had the experience of traveling to or experiencing. And in that, I find that the narrative dimension where things are added or subtracted, such as like where things are supposed to be there or not there, then that is really what I aim to capture. So I am able to do helicopters and drones underwater as well as terrestrial type of photography. And through those nuances and captured moments, like that's where I find themes to speak to our shared humanity. And that is what I really hope to share.
Yeah, absolutely. That type of story is so inspiring because most people are starting from zero in whatever it is that they want to do in this life, or maybe just like a little bit, but to go, okay, this person was brave enough to jump, full in and dive in and just give this a go, even though they were starting from scratch. That piece in itself, the photography is inspiring as well, of course, but that piece of your story, I think, empowers people to go, well, she did it. I could do it too.
I hope any part of this can inspire someone. Like, I've heard that snow leopards are impossible to find. So what did I do? I was like, I'm gonna go take a snow leopard trip. Like, you tell me it's impossible, and I want to. Like, is it? Is it really? I think out of the box thinking and having the confidence in ourselves, like curiosity and joy, are very underrated right now, I would say. And
Underappreciated. Definitely.
why I want to go. What, like, I have no reason. None of this is really logical. I've had so many trips like that where I'm just like, I can't explain it to you. I just know that I have to go. I just have to see this. There's something there. I just feel it. I feel like I should go. And I've gone on those trips and man, they have been life changing over and over and over. Come back, still say, I have no idea what the reason was, but the reason was that I absolutely had to go.
Yeah, you followed your intuition. And I echo Larissa that your photography is stunning. And then the whole separate element that's so inspiring is you overcame what stops most people in that they think, oh, I don't have 20 years of experience in this. Oh, I'm not a professional photographer. Oh, this is my first camera that I need help putting together. You're just like, I'll figure it out. I'm following where my curiosity leads. And you've created these gorgeous, gorgeous photographs in an amazing career. And so I think it's woven into your mission. It's such a powerful example of we all hold the ability to pivot our lives, change our lives, and follow something that's going to be very positive for us at any given point in time, regardless of whatever background we may or may not have. And so I love how the thing that stops most people, you're like, oh, that I'm going to take the Nikon in hand. That's instead of bull by the horns, Nikon just going to do the thing. And I love how you were held in community at that first moment where you kind of stepped into your artist self and they welcomed you and said, "We've got you here. We'll help you get started." And so what a powerful and pretty ancient model that is that we don't often see in our contemporary life. Everybody's so busy judging each other instead of helping each other grow. And so there's so many elements of your journey as a creator that I find very inspiring. And we've also, speaking of inspiring, had the privilege of hearing some excerpts from your upcoming debut book. Can you tell us a little bit more about your vision for this book?
I would love to. I will share that my vision for the book is to offer you an invitation. And it's an invitation to experience places where silence has weight and beauty stops time It gives you a chance to feel the wanderlust and breathe the atmosphere and connect to where you remember what it is like to be a human. It's a coffee table book that's designed to pair inspiring imagery through the planet, and it's joined with texts of meaning and contemplation. And part of my mission is for inspiration. And so these texts and contemplation actually come from more shared humanity types of questions, very, I don't know, broad, reflective, contemplative really is the word, contemplative text. And I'm anticipating this book to come out in fall 2026.
That's wonderful. And we will have some links in the show notes where you are able to get on Emily's mailing list so that you are the first to know when this book comes out. This sounds incredible. I mean, what a beautiful object that, like you said, shared humanity, something that's accessible. It's something that people can travel the world, people can have conversations by, people can connect around the coffee table with. And I just can't wait for this to come out.
Tying curiosity into it, what it is to be human has been one of my top questions. And what I mean by that is how we are able to be so put together, but so messy. We have so many juxtapositions to ourselves. We're able to be determined, but we're able to be fearful. We're able to be driven, but we're able to be vulnerable. We're able to be elated in emotion, but we're also able to be very like to oneself. And I find that these big themes and these experiences in the community that I've been able to actually build and continue to build have all taught me so many things about being human. And by the experiences, by the stories, by the narratives, that has all carried through to a lot of my imagery and the texts that I really hope to bring people into. Overall, hopefully, that one question might resonate with them or they might, I don't know, be inspired.
Well, speaking of that, when you presented at the Artisan Rhapsody Festival, where I met you in Vail, Colorado, my favorite part was the imagery of the Mongolian hunter and his connection with his bird of prey. This was the one that resonated with me. It was like that same compulsion you were speaking about before. It's like, what is it? I'm so curious about this. I feel this string attached from my heart to this scenario here, even though I've never lived or been anywhere like this. Can you tell us the story?
Sure. So in Western Mongolia, there's a nomadic culture of the Mongolian eagle hunter. And the Mongolian eagle hunter actually is really captivating by their bond between what I would call a trinity: horse, eagle, and man or woman. Most eagle hunters tend to be men, but there's very few women right now. And they actually find these eagles and they only use female eagles because of their hunting ability. And they find these eagles in their nest before they fletch, so before they fly, based on their size and their temperaments. And they actually go and bring them to raise them, teach them how to hunt with them, and develop this bond. So the eagle is about 1 to 2 years old. They will live with the eagle hunter and the family until about 9 to 12 years old. And in that, they develop such a bond that when you see it, it is eye to eye, it is beak to nose. There is such a care, there is such a love between human and bird. So, in one of the images, the image that I have actually behind me, one of the eagle hunters actually this has a 4-year-old eagle named Hannah. And in this landscape, this shows you a little bit about what the Altai Mountains are like in wintertime. And I think this image actually really catches the bond that I would say exists between them. It's almost like a
Shared consciousness. That's just incredible. And I think in what you've captured in this photograph is that stark contrast of life versus almost barrenness. We know there's living things out there in that very barren looking landscape, but this partnership of human and animal to be able to survive on this very rugged part of the earth.
Yeah, the eagle hunters will actually train the eagle to hunt for food. And then that actually provides food to his family. And then that also provides food for the eagle as well.
You were mentioning how one of your perennial kind of curiosities is exploring what it means to be human. And I think it's really beautiful that in this culture, what it means to be human is forming a very, very deep emotional bond and collaborative relationship with a non-human creature. And that humanity is actually part of the intermingling in this love they have for each other.
I remember looking at the eagle hunters with their eagles, and there's just, I mean, this is a bird of prey. This is a golden eagle. This is a raptor. Like, they survived for a reason. And they are so cared for that they have their own sleeping arrangement in part of their home. They get wrapped in a blanket when they're being transported. And then the bird actually has such a connection to his or her handler that I remember the leather gloves that they use to hold the eagles when they're being transported, they get wrapped at the back. So then the eagle knows it's okay. It smells like my dad, like home. So the eagle is actually very, very calm. They have their own masks made for them. And I remember seeing training exercises where they will release the eagle at the top of a vista, and you can watch how the eagle actually goes to, like, spot the it's like meat on the back of a string, like, kinda like a fishing line. So it looks like live prey, and so the eagle will come down, and then you get to see the actual eagle hunter get greeted by the eagle with the food. It makes you really reflective on that type of, like, partnership, what they have together, how they communicate to each other, and it's through human and bird.
And I mean, the contrast in how we associate fierce birds of prey and danger and wildness and what you're describing sounds like how I am with my dog, like putting clothes that smell like me when she's traveling so that she'll be comforted. I mean, I think it's really, really fascinating how all of these archetypes we think about get broken down in the reality in that culture, and how in documenting that through your beautiful pictures, it's this perspective on changing how we think about ourselves as human and what's possible in our relationship with the greater world and the other creatures in it.
Mhm. Absolutely. I hope my images captured that bond, that essence between them. There's a lot to feel in the moment about it.
Yeah, you definitely did capture that. And in this discussion, I've had a realization of why I think I love this image so much. And I think it's because there was this book, My Side of the Mountain. I don't know if you ever read it, but it was my favorite book growing up. Did you read it, Sarah?
Yeah, I want to hear your commentary here. I'm curious.
You know how people are like, oh, so what did you dream about as a little kid? Like, a house and getting married and having kids. No, I wanted to be the boy living in the tree on my side of the mountain, and he had his hawk, and they lived together in harmony with nature. And it was all just this wonderful story until his family crashed the party. But at the end, I actually had my daughter read the book, or she read the book. I got it for her. And she cried and cried and cried when the family came and ruined it at the end. I don't think that was supposed to be the moral of the story. I think it was like, oh, how lovely the family have joined them. But she was like, no, my solitude, my bird, my tree, my animals.
She was in tune with your interpretation.
Yeah, totally. I think that might be it reminds me of this childhood memory of a story where I dreamed that when I grew up, I was going to live in a tree and hunt with a bird.
That would be absolutely amazing.
You'll have to read the book.
I mean, now you're reminding me of, no spoilers here, but for Island of the Blue Dolphins and the highly traumatic part I cried and cried and cried about. But previous to that, the character's bond with her creature companion was just, I was all about that. That I very much connected with.
And you do get that in a lot of kids' cartoons as well, don't you? Where the kids can speak to the animals and the animals can talk. I mean, there's something very primal about this instinct, like people keeping dogs or taming wolves. And the whole question as to whether the dogs humanized us or evolved us or we evolved the wolves into dogs. It's like a symbiotic relationship, isn't it?
We evolved together.
Yeah, together. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today, Emily. We have been thoroughly inspired by this conversation, and we're excited for our listeners to get a glimpse of your beautiful photography. We will have your website in the show notes as well, but also make sure that you guys sign up for Emily's mailing list so you can really find out when this book is coming out, because I think it's going to be a must have.
Thank you, Emily. We're so excited, and we're glad that our listeners are going to be able to receive the first word about when your book comes out.
Thanks for having me. This episode of the Art Elevator podcast was brought to you by Artifactual History and Larissa Wild Fine Art. To stay inspired and informed, join our email list today. You'll receive updates about our latest creations, valuable tips, and a deeper look into the art world. You can find the link in the show notes below or by going to larissawild.com and signing up for our podcast mailing list. Here's to elevating your life with art and creativity.